Hi, Jam here from Peaceful Media. So we created Marketing for What Matters with an express mission to help heal the planet. But what if that mission begins right here in the heart? Not with carbon charts or scope 3 analyses, but with a quiet courage to meet our own hearts. The climate crisis isn't just out there. It's a ghost in our machines that say you're not enough. To heal the earth, we must first rewild our relationship with ourselves. And today's guest is Leon Logothetis. He's the creator of the Kindness Diaries and the new, raw, and radically good documentary film called The Kindness Within, available now on Amazon Prime. Because here's the truth, they don't teach in boardrooms or B school. A heart at war with itself will always treat the planet as prey. But a spirit rooted in self-kindness, well, that's how we birth the next economy. One where we outweighs me. Join us as we explore how saving the planet starts with inner peace and reclaiming our sense of worth. Because as within, so without. Let's dive into this special episode of Marketing for What Matters. Hi, I'm Jason.
I'm Fran.
I'm Carly.
This is Bo Peter.
And I'm Nicole. And this is Marketing for What Matters, where we explore how marketing paired with a regenerative mindset can uplift humanity, heal the planet, and still achieve profitable business growth.
Freedom. Think about that for a second. How far would you go to feel completely free?
Liberation is the only goal. Heaven is not the goal. God is not the goal. Liberation is the only goal. This is a realization that ultimately the only thing that matters to you is that you want to be free.
What began with a moment of despair led to a life-changing adventure to India, a journey in search of God and meaning.
The truth is, the heroes are not known by their trophies.
It just truly doesn't want to end. Whatever I do, it just...
They're known by their scars. We can actually become even more beautiful than we were before we were wounded.
We are all searching for something.
What is the purpose of life? Is it just to wake up, make babies, make money, go on a vacation, and then die? Surely there has to be more to why we're here.
To be truly free, we must first face ourselves.
I needed someone, something to hold me and just say everything's going to be okay. And that never really happened.
There's this hum of the divine that's everywhere. That's who God is. That's what God is. And that's what you are.
Come on an adventure to the other side of the world, where the pursuit of God reveals a profound truth. The answers we seek have always been within.
Leon.
Hello.
Hello. I wanted to start this special episode, not by framing what it is and what it isn't, but just being present with you. You've obviously made a profound film about all sorts of themes that matter and resonate deeply with me. And I want to set an intention for this episode of Marketing for What Matters right out of the gates. And that is to be in presence and honor what you've done in this journey called The Kindness Within, a journey to freedom, which is all about the journey to freedom as human beings.
Yeah.
And we're going to dive into the whole story of how this originated, where you were coming from, where you want to go with this. But first of all, I just want you to know how much this film meant to me and means to me, and what an honor and a privilege it is to be here in this beautiful space, in this beautiful moment, and see you and honor you for the courage, the money, I mean, just the investment of all of you, and portraying this journey for everyone to see. I call these naked and brave options in life, right? You decided to put your heart out there in the biggest way possible that you had the means to put out there. And it's on Amazon Prime, available for free for all Amazon Prime members. Even if you don't have Amazon Prime, go buy this film. That's my instant plug and commercial for this film. It will radically change your life. And that's why we're here, because this film matters. Leon, welcome to Marketing for What Matters.
Thank you for having me.
Leon
I'm excited.
Logothetis.
That's it.
Thank you. So to share this moment with you before we get into the whole piece, I'd love to know what your intention is.
20 years ago, I stumbled across the movie, The Motorcycle Diaries, which transformed my life. It's a romanticized version of Che Guevara traveling around South America, relying on kindness. I was a broker at that point, and I had everything on the outside, but very depressed, very anxious on the inside. But I was wearing a mask, not the COVID-19 type, the psychological mask that said everything was okay, but it wasn't. And that movie transformed me enough for me to make a decision to quit my job. And what I want people to get from this movie is something similar, to realize there's another way to live. So I want people to watch the movie and to have even a small amount of transformation, because that small amount can change the direction of your life irrevocably in a good way. So that's it. No pressure.
No. What's your intention in this moment? The movie is done. The movie is out there, available for the masses who, all across the world. Well, not exactly right all across the world, but available in many major countries. And when if I may, I look around society right now, we're hyper-polarized. We're destroying Mother Earth. We are destroying each other in many ways while we destroy our own lives. We overconsume most things. And I see this film as an antidote to that, right? Another way of being and showing up in the world. And so it's not something, from what I understand of you and of this film, it's not just your personal quest for relief from grief and depression and the angst and the separation you have felt, probably loneliness as well. There's something that transcends your personal quest with this film. Would you be able to speak to that?
100%. I mean, the movie is technically about me, but it's really about you.
Right.
And everyone who's sitting here watching this or listening to this.
Right.
So I just happen to be the vessel of the individual who had the issues that we'll talk about, and then went out to find freedom. But that's universal. There isn't a single human being listening to this or watching this that hasn't had an issue and that hasn't wanted to find a way to be free. We all have. So although the movie's about me, it's really about you. That's what we wanted to make very clear. And you.
Yeah.
And you.
I don't mind spiking the camera for this, because this is really, we are both here to be vessels for promoting this film, right? Because as I told you in our pre-interview, this is in my bones. You made the film that I would love to make, So I am a willing ambassador, an eager ambassador for getting this film out to as many eyeballs as possible. And so by way of this humble little podcast, we're doing our spiritual work in the world and creating more peace within all human beings and helping ultimately to heal the planet.
One small step at a time.
That's right. One one heart at a time.
Yes, there you go. That's better.
Right?
One heart at a time. I like it.
Because look, like, if you feel peace within you, right, and you love yourself, you're going to be so much kinder to the person you're passing by in the street, or you may even pull off that horn, right, when you're feeling impatient, right?
Yes.
You also might not toss the thing out the window of the car, right? And yeah, somebody else will figure it out and pick it up, right? Might be just a little bit kinder to this beautiful planet of ours as well. And that's where I think peace, this inner peace that you are helping people find with this film, is ultimately helping to heal the planet.
That's what I would like to think. Like you said, one heart at a time. And if we can transform one heart through 90 minutes of film, which is what happened to me many years ago, then mission accomplished.
Right. That this is the motorcycle diaries for the next human being who's
there you go,
seeking that
there you go
journey.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
a
it.
different format.
There you are.
Well, I want to jump right into the film again. The Kindness Within, right?
The Kindness Within: A Journey to Freedom.
Right. And on Amazon Prime. Pop on in there. It's on most smart TVs. We're gonna play some clips from there. I've thought about a lot of different places to start.
Okay.
And the obvious way is to start the way you started it, which is, I was this, had all this success with the Kindness Diaries.
Yeah.
I had lots of financial success, I'm imagining, from being a financial broker in the industry in London. Yeah. And then yet still, I find myself in agony. I'm putting words slightly into your story, but what I felt in the film, which you document, is a breakdown.
Oh, absolutely.
Fetal position style of help me because I'm barely holding on.
Absolutely.
So that's the obvious place to start.
We can start there.
Like, every hero's journey has that moment of, I need to surrender to something bigger, right? Because I'm not able to deal right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
But instead, I want to scrub ahead to some of the moments. I know minute 49, there's a sequence where the music picks up. It feels like the crescendo of the film. You're truly going through the first, what I feel, in, as far as the film narrative goes, the first epiphanal moment of feeling that kindness within. And so I'm tempted to just go right there, but also there are so many moments throughout the film where I'm like, no, this is the epiphany. This is the transcendence. This is that stillness within that we're all seeking, right? But where do you feel? I'm just going to ask you now, like, which scene would you feel showcases with the music, with the imagery, with the person that you're dialoguing with, which piece is the piece that we're all seeking? And you can take that in both ways, peace and peace.
Yeah, look, I would say ultimately it's the scene of the Golden Temple at God's kitchen. I mean, I don't want to give too much away of the movie, right? But that scene was a transformative moment for me. That's
the crescendo I'm talking about.
Okay, that's
49.
No, that's is that for no? That's long. That's
let's pull it up.
Okay, we can do that. So this is it. This is. I don't want to show the whole scene because it'll give everything away, but this is it.
The rabbi's words empowered me. During the journey, I hadn't realized that I'd actually been having these little moments of God from all my experiences. Armed with all the spiritual tools I'd gathered so far, I felt an immense strength within. I had accepted love, faced my pain, surrendered, and was now ready. I sensed I was a breath away from God.
There's a time in your life when you're drawing closer to that time of awakening, spiritual awakening, and so you're a little bit more receptive. There's just an opening your inner sense begins to open up and you're more receptive to that inner guidance.
Inspired, I visited a place hailed as one of the most spiritual sites in the world, the Golden Temple, the divine center of the Sikh religion. I was greeted by Jaswinder, a temple elder who helped me blend in.
Sorry. So just go in the washroom and see.
And look, okay, first of all, I want to say that I feel very honored. Thank you.
Thank you. See towards him.
It's a great guy, this guy. Anyway, I don't want to give away the whole movie.
Yeah, let's not give it away. But if we could go to minute 49.
Minute 49.
Yeah, I see something that happens that makes the rest of the film just like frosting, like the cherry on top, in my opinion. Because I see your breakthrough already happening. And Sadhguru
it happens.
Nails it.
It happens.
The voiceover.
Around here.
Yeah.
By facing my pain, the dam broke. There was now no turning back. I was overcome with a burning desire to explore all the majesty India had to offer, determined to experience every step of my journey fully.
The idea of stepping out is to step out into unfamiliar conditions, isn't it? You can joyfully step into unfamiliar conditions only if you have this assurance, no matter what happens to you around you, your experience of life will not be determined by those things. Your experience of life is always determined by you. Only if you have this freedom will you want to walk full stride in your life, otherwise you will become a half a step. Most human beings are just a half a stride, never a full stride.
The journey was offering a simple lesson. Pain is a teacher, and we are all students.
We're here to learn lessons. The more we learn, the closer to truth, the more fun we have.
To have God revealed to me, what should I do?
I would suggest first it would be self-discovery. Like, you have to really know yourself. In the process of finding yourself, who you really are, God will reveal himself to you.
First question, this kid stands up and asks, Anna, God, is he real?
I think ideally, we just want to be somewhere between happy and ecstatic.
God, if you're listening, I would like to be happy all the time.
That's it. That's it. I have so many things to say about that montage.
Okay.
First of all, brilliant job by the whole team, your whole team.
I'll tell them that. Well, they'll watch the podcast, so
yeah,
they'll see
the
it.
way you created a crescendo well before the crescendo. The actual climax of the film is a moment of pure stillness in the center of chaos. You know, I think you're in Los Angeles for that, the SRF, or no?
No.
So it was overseas.
Yeah.
Anyways, you had that moment of pure divinity, and the way you got there is what I saw, everything demonstrated in that montage. The things that I know connect me to the flow of life, and I'm sure you demonstrated it right there. Play, right? Play, laughter, music, dance, communion with fellow human beings, right? So what does that accurate? Is that something, like when you look at that montage, is that something that you felt was a part of your transcendence into that experience of oneness and kindness within?
Absolutely. I mean, you don't just find God or source or universe by reading a book or by speaking to someone wise. It's the whole shebang, which is connecting with people, connecting with yourself, connecting with nature, joy, love, everything. So that's why we put that montage there, because I'd had a moment before that. That was a dark moment, and I'd had a revelation. And then from that revelation came this.
Mm-hmm. Well, you mentioned dark moment. So that's a natural segue. Now we got to go back to the beginning of the film, where the whole thing starts.
Okay.
Because how do you feel about that, by the way?
So look, I'll explain what happened, right? So, you know, I had all this success. I was on Netflix, 2 seasons. I was speaking in stadiums. I was writing books. I was on some of the best press out there, you know, and I had arrived, supposedly. But I realized I had not arrived, actually. And it was just like another example of me running from myself, yeah? That doesn't mean I regret the success. I don't. And it doesn't mean I'm saying don't go and get success. Get as much success as you want. But if your success is just external and not internal, then it's not true success, right? And you know what true success is if you feel it. So I was very depressed, very anxious in a really bad way. And I found myself up in my house, up in Hollywood, and I had just had enough. So I wrote a suicide note. I didn't act on it, but I was in a terrible, terrible place. And instead of acting on it, I called my therapist, who's in the movie, at like some random time, like 11 o'clock at night or something ridiculous, which normally he would be asleep. I don't know, whatever. He wasn't asleep. Yeah. He was awake. He picked up the phone. Yeah. Obviously, he's like, why is Leon calling me at 11 o'clock at night? Right. So we spoke through it. And he talked me off the ledge, which was good. Right. And the next morning, I actually found myself in a bookshop in Venice Beach, the Mystic Bookshop, the one that used to be on Abbot Kinney, right? Now it's on Main Street in Santa Monica. And I randomly saw Yogananda's book, Autobiography of a Yogi, which I'd seen many, many times, but I hadn't ever picked it up. But for whatever reason, this time I did. So I picked up the book and I randomly opened it again, totally randomly. And then I randomly looked at a
There's nothing right.
Yeah. And I randomly looked at a paragraph, and in it, he was talking to a soon-to-be guru. And he said, if you reveal God to me, I will follow you anywhere. And I had an epiphany. I was like, oh my goodness, that's it. That's the answer. I'm not talking about the God that lives up in the sky with the white beard. I'm talking about universal love, universal energy, source, universe, whatever you want to call it, right? And I had this epiphany. I picked up the phone. I called my director, the guy that, and the cinematographer, and I said, look, I want to go to India to find God. Do you want to come with me? And he knew that I was a little bit out there. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, okay, out there.
Out there, like with my ideas, like circumnavigating the world on kindness.
Right. Okay.
All this kind of craziness.
Yeah, you're an adventurer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he said, yeah. And that's how it all began. I mean, that's a shortened version of it, but that's basically how it began.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so many questions here. First of all, what were your beliefs going into that moment with Yogananda?
So I wasn't a religious man then, and I'm not a religious man now. Then I was dabbling in spirituality, and now I would say that I'm immersed in it.
Got it.
Right? I have no issues with religion. If that's your way to God, then God bless you, pardon the pun. But I don't know, I had to experience it for myself to be able to truly embody it, as with everyone, right? So I needed to experience it. I felt it enough that I knew that if Yogananda was telling his soon-to-be guru that I will follow you anywhere if you reveal God to me, if he's going to do that, and he ended up being Yogananda, then why don't I do that? And who knows? Maybe it'll happen for me too.
Yes. Yes. So, and one of the beautiful things about the film is that you're not focused on one approach to experiencing that embodiment. Call it what you will. Eckhart calls it stillness, right? Or many religions call it love. Go to Bali, you experience God just in the eyes. Fiji, you go there and you experience it just by looking into people's eyes. That is God, right? You in the film go to represent most major religions and ultimately find that at their core, they're really talking about the same thing at the core, and that all the rest is decorative.
Yes.
Right? And so it's one of the reasons why I love it, growing up in a really extreme, this is the way, this is the only way, thump, 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 you know, meditation, that's a gateway to the devil, you know, like those containers those walls need to be broken down in society, because it perpetuates the lie of separation. When we truly embody what you embodied, we'll understand viscerally that you and I are one, brother. Like we're just different flowers on the same vine, expressing our personalities, but seeking that same stillness and peace that Swamiji talks about at the end. Right? Am I getting his name correct?
Yeah, Swamiji.
Yeah, Swamiji.
Pujwa Swamiji.
Pujwa?
Pujwa. Swamiji.
Yeah, I bet you had to work on those.
I think that's it, no?
Pujwa
Swamiji.
Swamiji, we thank you for allowing us
Definitely,
to
thank you.
perhaps get your name incorrect.
Yeah.
The important thing is, his message is an important one, and that is that you aren't necessarily called to stop caring about any of the worldly things, right? You talk about, you said, through the frame of success. Success can be measured in a lot of different ways. Instagram likes and money and cars and clothes we wear, et cetera, et cetera. And Swamiji comes back to you with a banger. He says, I'm going to butcher the words a little bit, but as long as you're not purely focused on that, that you're not finding satisfaction and peace, or trying to find peace, because that is a futile road, right? To stillness and peace, right? It's just chasing those things because it's never ends. You're always going to be on that quest for that success. There's no peace there.
That is very true. He's a wise man.
Yeah. So let's go, if you don't mind, let's go to that scene you just described.
Yeah, this is an interesting moment.
Congratulations on living the life I daydream about all day long.
But things are not always as they seem.
How old you are today?
4. Happy birthday to you.
Depression can be manifested in a physical way. It can show up as a feeling of anger and that nothing is okay.
Leon! Why is it painful to look within? Because you see your darkness. That is painful. It's so much easier to put on the facade, which you present to the world.
I've reached a point of no return, to be honest.
Although he didn't say it in the exact words, he was giving up. And I believe he was giving up because of all the things that he had tried didn't work. Nothing worked.
It just truly just doesn't want to end. Whatever I do, it just
He didn't know what else to do. He was out of choices. When he called, I listened to him. I think that he knew that I would hear him without judgment.
So while that moment is deeply personal, deeply, and your vulnerability is just off the charts, right? How do you feel like this connects to, I'm going to put a number, to many people, let's just say.
There is not a single human being that hasn't suffered.
Right.
There's not a single human being that hasn't felt pain. There's not a single human being that hasn't cried. There's not a single human being that hasn't felt like they can't go on. It's universal. Mm-hmm. So what I did by putting it in the movie was just universalize the movie. Like, if you see my pain, you're really seeing your own pain. If you're seeing me being able to be vulnerable and cry, then it gives you permission to do the same thing. That's it.
Right. And beyond the vulnerability and crying, began a quest.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's right here in that scene. You're holding Yogananda's book here.
Absolutely.
Autobiography of a Yogi, and talking about how that kicks off this journey.
It absolutely kicks it off from there.
Now, your journey has a film crew, right? How do you feel like this film relates to the opportunity for other people, the rest of humanity, who is experiencing that same desire and desperation for something more?
Of course. So everyone's journey is different.
Right.
My first step was to call my therapist.
Right.
Right. And then the next step was to go to the bookstore. And then the next step was to get onto the plane. Mm-hmm. You don't have to do that. You could text your friend and say, hey, I'm depressed. Can we chat? You can go onto Amazon if you have anxiety and buy a book about anxiety. Mm-hmm. If you need support, you can call a hotline. If you need...
go to Amazon Prime Video and search for Kindness.
Well, there you go. You could do that too. I can't say that, but you can. But my point is that every journey starts somewhere. And your journey doesn't have to be to get on a plane to go to India. Yeah. Your journey can be to call up a therapist and make an appointment to start the process of helping yourself to go from broken to not broken, right?
Yes. Baby steps are so powerful.
Just take that first step. Yeah. Just do it.
Yeah.
I know that's what Nike says, right? But literally, just do it. Just force yourself to make that one thing. Like, force yourself to send that one text to someone safe. I am currently crying. Can you help me?
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. Or maybe you don't want to go that far. You want to just say, hey, I'm not having a good day. Can you chat? That one step is all it takes sometimes to change everything.
Yeah. So what made you decide to film your process, your journey?
Well, look, I've used my art as a way to help my pain. And in the process, hopefully help other people's pain. So I could have done this by myself, but then you and I wouldn't be sitting here, right? People wouldn't be watching it on Prime, and no one would get any benefit except me. So I created art out of it and took my pain, transformed it, and hopefully it will help transform your pain a little bit. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Connecting that back to Swamiji at the end. There's a third T here with his beautiful alliteration. I don't know if he's just like some sort of linguistic master.
Maybe.
But he says, after you find that inner peace that you experience in the presence of him and the experience of your whole journey, that inner peace, that's great. You found this inner peace. Now serve. From that place, serve. Take your tech, take your tenacity, take your talent, and share that with others. Right? You remember that?
Of course.
Of course, yeah.
Of course.
Does that compel you? Does that move you every single day, now that the film is out there, to do whatever you can to be of service to humanity?
Look, the movie is an act of service. That's what I believe. That's what the rest of the crew believes. It's an act of service. If you watch it and you get touched by it, then we have in some way served, right?
Yes. And you mentioned in your voiceover that I was doing all these things. I wrote the books, I gave the speeches, I made the TV shows, etc. That wasn't service when you compare that to what happens at the Golden Temple, which we'll get to.
Yes.
Right.
So the movie is an act of service. There are greater acts of service, absolutely. But for me, the movie was an act of service. Getting it out to the world is an act of service.
Absolutely.
But there is obviously a lot more that can be done on a far grander scale than that.
No, it's not a question of is your service sufficient or valid. This is a question of, do you feel that innate drive from that servant's heart that you've found and experienced in the Golden Temple, for instance? Do you feel that?
I do feel it, and I still don't feel like I'm fully embracing it, to be honest with you. I could sit here and say to you, oh yes, I finished the movie.
But you don't lie.
What?
But you don't.
Well, that's what I'm saying to you.
Right.
Yeah. So I could say, well, everything has been magnificent since then, and I'm serving like the greatest server in the world, whoever that may be, whatever religion you believe in.
Yeah.
But that would not be true. I'm trying.
Yeah.
The movie is my first, let's say, salvo out there,
Yeah.
and we'll see what happens beyond that.
Yeah. Would you mind quickly sharing the story of the night with the man experiencing homelessness?
Yes, right. Absolutely. So in the journeys, I would go up to people in the streets and I'd say, can I stay in your house tonight? Generally,
Right.
with the motorbike and everything. And well, the motorbike wouldn't stay in the house, but whatever. And they would say, no, of course not. I don't even know you, right? So no.
What to do,
Yeah.
walking their dogs.
Yeah. Everyone.
Like they
within reason.
They got their life together.
Yeah, within reason, pretty much, I would walk up to anyone, right?
Yeah.
And so I was in Pittsburgh and I had no place to stay. And I went up to this guy in the park and, he seemed very well dressed, like you and I. And I asked him if I could stay in his house tonight. Well, not you, but
That's
me.
a compliment.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah. And I said, can I stay in your house tonight? And he looks at me and he goes, oh, I'm so sorry, but I'm homeless. And I was taken aback. I mean, I'm doing a social experiment here, right? Obviously, in real life, I'm not homeless. I feel a sense of shame, and I end up about to walk off. And he turns around and he says, well, hold on. If you want, you can stay with me tonight. I'll feed you, I'll protect you, and I'll give you some clothes. Every fiber of my being was like, Leon, my good friend, you are not staying on the streets of Pittsburgh tonight. But then there was that counterintuitive voice that said, Leon, buddy, you are staying on the streets of Pittsburgh tonight. And that's what happened. I ended up sleeping on the streets of Pittsburgh. He fed me, he protected me, and he gave me some clothes. Exactly what he said he would do. And he taught me two truly profound lessons. Lesson number one, and this was done before the film. Lesson number one, kindness is free. It's free. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter how close to God you are or how far away from God you are. Kindness is free. If a homeless man with nothing can be kind, then why can't I?
Right.
Yeah?
Right.
Second lesson he taught me was true wealth is not in our wallets, but in our hearts. Now, am I telling you to give away all your money? No. Am I telling you to stop searching for your dreams? No. But the truest of wealth is how we show up, how we treat each other. Again, imperfectly. I'm not espousing perfection by any stretch. And it was a profound lesson. And it changed me There were moments in my life that have changed me. One is the Motorcycle Diaries. The other one was the night with Tony. And there have been more, but another one was at the Golden Temple in Amritsar, right? So in the show, at the end of each episode, we give an unsuspecting Good Samaritan a life-changing gift. So we ended up putting him up in an apartment and sending him back to school. And he would always say to me, Leon, you changed my life. And I would always say to him, no, you changed my life. I just spent, 10 hours on the streets once in my life. Yeah. This guy had been on the streets for 10 years. Yeah. And it was like my whole heart was opened because of one man's kindness.
Mm-hmm. This is an appropriate place to just comment on this hat.
Okay.
We just purchased this today from Indiana. This band in particular, they assigned to the hat to give yourself kind of an oracle card to the universe.
Okay.
This one is reciprocity. I wanted to wear this today because of my feelings of being in flow with reciprocity. That, you spent a bunch of money and time and energy exploring this topic that's so dear to me. And if there's anything I can be of service to help get this out, then that to me, this is a reciprocal exchange. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
And these hats are sourced down in Indigenous Women's Collective in Peru by my dear friend Laura Greer. This is an unsponsored plug for something I believe
it's a cool hat.
Because it seemed appropriate.
Yeah.
The reciprocity, which is a huge piece of this film and part of your breakthrough.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Definitely.
Especially that day in the Golden Temple. So I wanted to shift gears just a little bit because this is called Marketing for What Matters, right? And you and I chatted a little bit about marketing films. I'm deeply curious because I'm a filmmaker in budding filmmaker. I would love to hear more about how you go about getting distribution for your film, because distribution itself is marketing, right? B, how you think about getting the word out, through traditional means, untraditional means, etc. Could we start there and
sure.
just to make sure this is relevant for our audience? There are a lot of people who are holding filmmaking devices in their hands right now. Now, what are we posting to social media? And is that creating that ripple effect of good vibes, of love, union, oneness, connection, harmony? Or are we using these filmmaking devices to perform other acts? Everything else that we can showcase from these devices. So whether you're a filmmaker by title or simply someone who has a camera in their hands most of their day, we all have this opportunity to create the kindness within and throughout the world by what we expose our feeds to.
Absolutely. And you get to choose.
Right. So now you're doing this at scale. I have this, you had these, you had a whole feature documentary film. So could you just talk to us about how that operation works?
Sure. So, look, you talked about distribution. So the way we did this was that we filmed it, we edited it, and then we got a distributor on board, and that distributor was responsible for getting it on Prime Video. Okay. It's not an easy process. Obviously, we're independent filmmakers, and it's an honor to have been able to get it to this point so that people can watch it. Because if you don't get it on a platform, however magnificent your work is and however much it could transform someone, if no one sees it, then the impact it has is far less. So the next question is, you asked me how to get it out to the world. So you get it onto a platform, right? Whatever platform that may be. What we did was we hired PR people, We hired social impact people and we hired social media people. Obviously, we had the resources to be able to do that. And there was a big campaign that was put into place to get this out to as many people as possible. And again, that's a very simplistic way of putting it, but that's basically how it happened.
Right.
And I will say that for any of your listeners, if they want to ask direct questions about that, they can just contact me on Instagram at The Kindness Guy, and I will respond to everyone. I always respond to as you know, I responded to you. And I'll answer specific questions.
What would you recommend to somebody who doesn't have the big budgets for marketing, PR, social impact teams?
I would say do a grassroots campaign, right? First of all, your product has to be good. So if you're creating a film that's not good, or you're creating content that's not good, it doesn't matter how much you put into it or how many people you get to watch it, because no one's going to watch it. So the first thing to concentrate on is to make it good.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So once you've done that, you can then go out and do all the grassroots stuff that people are doing all the time.
Right.
Whether it's TikTok, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Facebook, whatever it may be, YouTube, and get it out that way.
So while we were looking at the clock just to see where we're at time-wise, we noticed the clock said 4:44. And so we said, well, that's got to mean something. So I'm going to read this, and then we'll use this to guide us for the rest of the episode. So this is divine guidance and support. This seems relevant. I'm not sure why. Seeing 444 repeatedly is a powerful sign that you are being spiritually guided and supported. It indicates that your guardian angels are present, watching over you and providing encouragement on your path. This number serves as a reminder that you are not alone in your journey and that divine forces are working in your favor, which is not surprising.
Do you know what? I'm going to tell you a story about that. So when I was in Rishikesh, I had arrived in India. I'd been in India for about 2 or 3 days, and I was in a hotel in the mountains of Rishikesh, and I gave up. I said to myself, I gave up.
Wait, is this in the film?
Yeah. No, it's not in the film.
It's not?
It's not in the film.
You gave up?
Yeah, it's not in the film. So I decided I was going to go home, right? Remember the divine guidance. I decided I was going to go home.
Yeah.
So I was on my way to my director's room to tell him that I was going home. And this was it. I couldn't do it anymore. As I was walking, 2 or 3 days in, as I was walking through the hotel, I saw this room that the door was open. I was like, all right, I'll go in there. So I go into the room, and it's a library. Not a great library, right? But it's a library in a hotel in Rishikesh.
Yeah.
I was like, all right. So I look around, and what do I find? Another of Yogananda's books, The Divine Romance. And what's The Divine Romance about? Finding God. So in that moment, I said, okay,
yeah,
I get it. I'm not going home. I'm just not going home.
So here's more hardship, right? You confronted something there. Right? You came up against it. You're about to exit. You had that's a symbolic, again, you're ready to exit life in a way. You're ready to exit the flow.
Yeah, exactly. To go back home to America.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And that's interesting because that's what set you off on this journey.
Exactly.
You're just about ready to exit.
Sure.
Voluntarily.
Sure.
Right? So first of all, what was the hardship you were facing? Why did you want to quit?
Sometimes when you have to face yourself, you don't want to. It's literally that simple. And that was it.
Yeah.
It's one thing to be in a bookshop in Venice Beach and be like, oh, I'm going to go and find God. It's another thing to actually get on a plane, go halfway across the world to India, find yourself in Rishikesh and be like, oh, I don't want to face myself anymore.
Yeah.
I forget this. I'm just going to go back home. Right. So we've all had that. We've all had moments of not wanting to go on. I'm not talking about physically. I'm talking about emotionally or psychologically. Right. We just have had enough.
And then what happens in your experience of humanity?
Well, either we give up or we don't.
What does giving up mean for the majority in your experience?
Going back to the status quo. Being in a place that you don't want to be in.
Right.
Being in a relationship you don't want to be in.
Yeah.
And never being able to break that bond. because it's too painful. So you stay stuck.
Isn't that where most people feel like they are? And as they stew in that and marinate in that stuckness, knowing that there's something else around that corner, but it feels safer and more certain here. It may be painful. It may I may feel a freaking agony, but it's certainly something I'm familiar with.
Yes, of course. I've done that many, 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 many times. So I know what it feels like, and I'm sure everyone listening or watching this knows what it feels like to be stuck. And had I got on that plane and gone back home, I would still be stuck. But I didn't, because I was nudged by Yogananda. I mean, what are the odds that as I'm walking to the room, I see in another room, I see out of, I don't know, there were 15, 20 books in there, and one of them is the Divine Romance. Like,
it's perfect. I'd like to go to the Golden Temple as you're coming out of it, as you're realizing. I think the way you said it, we can just listen to your voiceover, but I think the way you said it is, I'm experiencing God and it is love, right? And again, I might be misstating that, but I'd like to watch that scene and see a little bit of the operations, hear a little bit about the operations of serving 100,000
Sure, we can do that.
Every single day with volunteers.
Yeah, I mean, you know, to me, if anyone were to say to me, what is your favorite scene in the movie? It would be this scene with the, I don't want to, again, I don't want to give too much away, right? But I will show some of it.
It sets up where I'd like to go from a marketing standpoint too.
Okay, all right, well, I'll show more of it then.
So when you arrive at the Golden Temple, it is an incredible feeling. There is a serenity and an energy.
It's an ice interval.
Thank you.
Saffron color.
Yes, it's very beautiful. So if I wanted to come here at 5 a.m. in the morning, I can?
24 hours.
And what are they doing? Praying.
This place called God's Kitchen, where thousands are being fed. You actually realize there's no difference. We are one. The tenet of the faith is there is no difference, we are one, is experienced right there and then.
No image of God in the Sikh religion. He has no color, no caste, no creed, no physique, no shape. He is just omnipotent. He is just omnipresent. The God's Wi-Fi connection is open to everyone. You'll get a direct connection. Because in the Sikh religion, the service of mankind, the service of humanity is the service of God. He makes it possible for us to give food to 100,000 people each day here at the Golden Temple. It's not an easy task to serve food to 100,000 people each day. It's by His blessings.
What you guys do is truly unbelievable. As I was walking through the kitchens, I felt that I was walking through God's kitchen.
You feel that. There is a feeling. That is God. Your whole body vibrates. There is something entering into your body. That is a positive vibes. So from where it comes? It comes from the God.
I decided to stay a little longer and do service in the kitchen.
It's one thing to say it, but it's another thing to internalize it and then to live it. It's only when you live it that the change comes. There's a different sort of energy that the people there have. To be there and to be served with such love and reverence. The prayers. There is a smile on their faces. They are so grateful to be able to do this for you. Everyone who is there wants to be there. It's not forced. So the question comes, why do they want to be there?
I felt this was why I came to India. It's one thing to be a searcher, a seeker. It's another thing to transform that seeking into giving. And for many years, I was purely a seeker. A couple of years ago, with the Kindness Diaries, I started to give. But I still felt like the seeking part of it was still greater than the giving part of it for me. And that had to change. The things that made this just incredible was the scale of the service, the magnitude of giving back, the amount of bread that was being made, the amount of food that was being given, the amount of love that was being shared, the amount of people that were being fed. They don't turn anyone away.
Do you believe in the power of this film?
Oh, absolutely.
Beyond.
Absolutely. I mean, I believe that this film has the potential to transform.
Yeah.
If you're in the right place at the right time and you watch the movie, it can transform.
When I asked you a couple of days ago what your vision or goal was for viewership, like what success looks like for you as the creator of this work of art, you said something like, I don't know, a few? Or something along those lines.
I think I said 1 million people to watch it.
1 million.
But you didn't like that.
I don't think that makes enough impact. Right? That's when I believe in something, you believe in something this much, then why not 100 million?
I mean, look, if we could get this movie to those types of numbers, it has the potential to transform on an epic level.
Right. So this brings us to an opportunity for everyone, you, the audience, anybody who's watching this and feeling compelled to see what Charles Eisenstein calls the more beautiful world our hearts know is possible. When we transcend this illusion that we are separate. And then I have to get mine before you get yours, because I won't eat. I won't eat if you get yours before I get mine, right? Just the kind of the way we're treating each other and the planet, frankly. So they serve 100,000 people every single day. It's a lofty vision, right? And it's certainly not going to happen with one person. And I know you have a team. Even that team, the teams can only do so much.
Sure.
With the resources they have.
Yeah.
And so what I'm feeling here, this is just an intuitive thing, and maybe you've already done this and explored it and failed, and that's all good. You poo-poo it if you want. But is to invite everyone who seeks a brighter, kinder, more loving world to be part of the marketing team. Does that land for you at all?
Absolutely.
Idea.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Okay.
Of course. You said something brilliant to me. And you said you have to feel it in your bones.
Yes.
In order to make this a success. And that was such a beautiful thing.
Yeah. So my invitation then is to create a campaign here. First of all, for anybody who's watching this film, go watch The Kindness Within, Journey to Freedom on Amazon Prime Video, right? Go watch it. And if you feel a connection to it, then share it. Share your story with as many people who will listen, both in person. You see someone who's being kind, you say, have you seen the kindness within? Because you are demonstrating that right now, and I love it. You seem like you're a free person. You seem like you're playing with delight. You seem like you're loving life. You're in flow. You're in joy. Have you seen the kindness within? Because you're living it right now, right? So whenever you see that in life, strike up a quick conversation. It's on Amazon Prime. Only in certain countries, correct?
All English-speaking countries.
All English-speaking countries. Okay, so that's step one. Watch the film, start sharing it via the people you see in your life. Talk about it at your family dinner. Watch it as a family. Watch it multiple times. That counts, right?
I don't know if it counts because I've watched it like 50 times.
Okay.
I don't think so.
When you go over to your friend's house, kids, hey, can we have a movie night? Can we have a movie night? Can we have a movie night? If we all did that 11 times.
Yeah, sure.
You know, times a couple million, 10 million or so, we're banking views. So I don't think it takes much as long as people feel inspired by this film. And I don't see how you cannot be inspired by this film. So step one is to watch it and give yourself those, 75 minutes?
90 minutes.
90 minutes. Give yourself 90 minutes to actually be with this film, not a watch it for 5 minutes, I'll come back to it later thing. Give yourself that full immersion as if you're going into ceremony or into birth or into rebirth or into church, whatever it is, so that you can let this film soak into your bones like the way you and I feel it. Okay, so those are all the easy peasies. You could certainly be part of that. You could be going live on your platforms every single day for the next 90 days, asking people to participate in this grassroots campaign, right?
Yeah,
of course.
Of course.
Okay. I would too.
Okay.
Fine. We can do some collabs. But so get this out. There's another level to this though, because that's all, that's not fully utilizing the power of these. Like I said in the beginning, we're all filmmakers, right? And so my invitation would be to take this to the next level, which is to record your testimonial. Record your testimonial about what touched you. And that can be testimonials plural. It really ought to be, because if you're anything like me or my friend here, Leon, like every moment is poignant. Every moment is a reflection of something I've experienced in life, or we all collectively as human beings experience in life. And if you haven't experienced it in life, then you see the things that you want to experience, which is all the things we talked about earlier. Like play, joy, love, dance, communion, peace. Right? So the invitation, again, is to record yourself talking about how the film touched your life. If you want to shoot a scene of it from Amazon Prime Video, I think that's okay, right?
Sure.
Shoot a scene of it from your phone and then flip it around and talk about why that affected you, how that affected you, what you loved about it. However you want to do the testimonial, use a hashtag. And I'm imagining you have one already.
The kindness within.
The kindness within.
Yeah.
The kindness within. Use the hashtag so that Leon and the social media team and social impact team and PR team can get in there with Leon and help engage in the conversation and help share your testimonial and help proliferate something that is very hard to do, just like the meal in the Golden Temple. Very hard to do if we're trying to do this with limited resources and limited team.
Sure.
Right? But what compels those people to walk in there every single day and flip those naan?
Love.
Love. Right? So do we all want to see more love in this world?
Of course we do.
I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to hope that.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the invitation. It's as simple as that. I mean, we could go to the next level here and do crowdfunding or pull some of the marketing resources into advertising, like pick testimonials that are extremely effective or pick reels that are extremely effective for you. It takes $150 to $300 to get that thing seen by 1 million to 1.5 million people across the world who are English speaking.
Interesting.
Do it all the time, right? So if there's particularly poignant pieces that you know will ripple into the 100, we'll just call it the upward spiral, right, to 100 million viewers who've come through Amazon Prime, then we put a minor ad budget behind it. And it's as easy as click, 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 boost to the right audiences, English-speaking audiences, and away we go. You know,
that'd be a good name for an ad company. Click, 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 boost.
We're changing peaceful media is no longer. We are click, 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 boost.
Click, click, boost.
I think we should just start a campaign called the click, 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 boost. I feel like you gotta like do some of that stuff too. So then there's the next level, right? Which is to leverage crowdfunding. So you have a trailer for your film. We put it up on Kickstarter or any of the crowdfunding platforms. Have you done this yet?
No.
Okay. I would love to participate in that because I see that as that reciprocity piece we're talking about, right? Like when people contribute to making a film happen or making the distribution and viewership of a film happen, it's an expression from their own hearts. It's service of their own mission.
Yeah, I like that.
Right? So all we got to do is use your trailer to compel people to donate $1, donate $11. This is assuming we don't have resources. And there's many people who are making films who don't have the budget you probably had, right? Maybe struggling to get food on the table, right? And so like, what can you do with what you have? That's the principle here. Yeah?
From the CEO of Click, 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 Boost.
I have officially retired from Click, 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 Boost. Forming a company called Peaceful Media. Okay. So we take those dollars that you raise.
Yeah.
And we funnel that into propelling, which marketing has a bad rap. It's just sharing what we believe is going to change the world. That's marketing. When it's done right. Right? So what do you think about this? Do you feel like there's merit in
absolutely
running versions of grassroots?
Yeah, we can absolutely chat about that. And obviously any help that anyone can give me from watching this and they want to reach out to me, I mean, we're open to anything.
Cool.
The aim is to get it out to as many people as possible.
So as part of these podcast episodes, we do something called the double click segment. Yeah?
Click, 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 boost.
Click, click,
Sorry,
click.
I'm
double click,
delusional.
click, 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 boost. So above here, you're going to see, when you're watching this, you're going to see a place. Ian's actually going to put it on there. He's our YouTube channel management. Okay. So he's going to put a little clickable item here that'll take you to the double click segment that we'll record after this episode.
Okay.
We'll record after this interview at least. And what it will do is we'll go and set up something for you to help this grassroots, a version of grassroots campaigns get going.
Okay.
Cool.
Yes. I very much appreciate that. I mean, look, any help you can give the film would be a godsend.
The reason why we do the double click, just so everybody understands the intent, is that there's somebody else out there who's trying to distribute their Kindness Within movie.
Okay.
Their version of Kindness Within, something they feel like it's going to have a positive impact.
Okay.
And they don't have the resources.
Okay.
So my vision with the double click segment is that somebody else is going to be able to watch that special segment that branches off from this episode.
Okay.
Follow the steps that we demonstrate on screen.
Okay.
And go and execute on there.
Okay.
So that we aren't doing marketing behind closed walls.
Sure.
Cool.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's in service of this film.
Okay, perfect.
Where do you feel called to highlight? What do you feel called to highlight in the film that will help inspire people to join this grassroots movement?
Most of us suffer in silence. We have years and years, decades, generations of pain that we do not let out, and it consumes us. This movie was my way of telling the world, or telling one individual person, to share their pain. If I can share my pain, then so can you. And if you share your pain, I promise you, you will begin the journey towards freeing yourself. If you don't share your pain, it's very unlikely that you will free yourself. So for me, that was what this movie was about. And I want people to safely share their pain. Because you can share your pain in a way that is unsafe, right? That can cause more pain. No. Find someone safe, even if it's a movie or a book, where you feel mirrored. You feel like maybe you're suffering depression and you've never shared it with anyone. And you sit through this movie for 90 minutes, and by the end of it, you're like, okay, someone gets me. And maybe you'll turn around and speak your truth.
Yeah, that's it. Speak your truth.
Yeah.
I think Shakespeare said that.
Did he?
I really like that line.
Okay, speak your truth. Someone said it.
Maybe the most important thing we can do.
There you go.
So what is an example? This is a really important note.
Sure.
I'm glad you brought it up. What's an example of unsafe sharing?
Sharing with someone that won't treat you with respect. Sharing with someone who will take your truth and use it against you. Sharing with someone who will shame you. That's unsafe sharing.
Yeah.
Sharing with someone who's safe is someone who will love you through your pain.
Yeah.
Won't shame you. Will show you compassion.
Yeah.
It's simple. Sometimes it's difficult to determine who's safe and who's not safe, right? Because you think someone's safe and they turn out not to be. Yeah. So be very careful. If you go to a therapist, you're pretty much guaranteed that that person will be safe. Now, it doesn't always happen that way, but generally, 99.9% of the time, that therapist will be safe.
Yeah. Yeah. Is your therapist getting flooded?
He's receiving quite a lot of emails, yes.
Yes. That's great. That's good to see. I'm deeply curious about the way you've come back to the real world, so to speak. I think you were in the real world, but you come back to it.
Maybe I was in the more real world there, right? And here I came back to this matrix.
It's different. Yeah, you're in the matrix. You're in Los Angeles. I'm imagining you're not feeling as deeply connected as you were sitting across this far away from Swamiji, and he's like reaching into your soul.
Sure.
I mean, that voice is butter.
Yeah,
It is
crazy, right?
Butter,
Yeah.
right? And then he sings to you, and it's like, like total heaven there.
Yeah.
So what has been your experience, and how are you dancing between those two worlds? You're literally watching yourself in those moments of utter inner peace, from what I can tell. And now you're watching here from, the vicinity of the matrix. Do you feel like you're still two people, like the rabbi talks about?
So the rabbi said I was 50-50.
Yep.
50% in the world of spirit and 50% in the world of materialism. And he was 100% right.
Right.
And it's interesting. I would say, a couple of weeks ago I was asked the question, what are you now? And I said 60-40, right? 60% in spirit, 40% in materialism. I would change that now. I would change it to 65-35, right? Or maybe 62 and a half, 27 and a half? I don't know, my math is it 37 and a half? I don't even know. Like 62 and a half and 37 and a half. I would say there. So, you know, there's been some shifts in the past few moments, for sure.
In the past few moments?
Well, weeks, whatever.
Weeks. Okay, and what's guiding that trajectory? What, in other words, you're being different, you're doing things different, and you're having a different experience of life. That's Neil Donald Walsh, I believe. Be, do, have.
Bit of a legend.
Yeah. So the way you are being is causing you to do life differently, and ultimately you're getting or having a different experience of life. So let's use that framework. How are you consciously being that is helping you incrementally take those baby steps towards?
I would say more time in nature, more.
That's why I wanted to go.
More meditation.
Yeah.
Like I would do a lot of meditation with no music, and then I started doing guided meditation, which really got me deeper, right? Just some personal things that have been going on that I've been dealing with, and just kind of making more of a choice to go down that road. Instead of focusing on the darkness, focusing more on the light. That doesn't mean the darkness isn't there and I ignore it. It's there, I see it, I experience it. It's not fun, but I focus more on the light. Small little things like that.
This is interesting. I'm just going to pull on that thread just slightly, because just a few minutes ago we were talking about almost like an embracing of the pain, right? Not ignore the pain that you've experienced, because the more you're shining a light on it, the more you can transcend it and heal it. Is that accurate, right? And now we're also talking about where you're placing your focus. Where are you pouring your energy into? Is it focusing on the things that pull you back into the matrix?
I try not to focus on those things.
Right. And what are those? What's your methodology for that?
Well, one of the things I do is I don't turn on the news. People tell me what's going on. It's not like I don't know what's going on, right? If anything really bad happens.
You get the low lights.
Yeah, they tell me.
Rarely the lights.
But if I used to wake up every morning, turn on the news. Go to bed every night, turn on the news. And then you wonder why I was insane.
Yeah.
Because it's like levels of anxiety when you see what's going on are just crazy making. So I still know what's going on. I can still take action if I need to, if I want to. But I don't get anxious all the time.
Yeah.
That's a really important piece of how the peace came.
So nature, guided meditation, choosing what you're what channel your focus is going to be turned on to. Are you going to bookend your day with the headlines, which are purely streaming, for the most part, with maybe a little insert here, a feel-good story from the local high school, and back to the news. 50 people died today, and when we know that there's, as you know, from your Kindness Diaries, there's kindness happening all the time.
I would say the greatest source of news to understand what's going on is to look at history. Obviously, the old adage is that history repeats itself. But if you look at history, you see how human beings behave. And there's no difference with what happened then and with what's happening now. And history.
Anything else that's pulling you, elevating you in your experience of life?
Getting this movie out there.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that people say is, oh, you must have had such an amazing experience. You went to India and you came back enlightened. Obviously, I did not come back enlightened, right? But what did happen...
You came back lighter.
I did.
Yeah.
But what did happen was that when I was editing the movie, I didn't actually physically edit it, but I was giving notes.
Yeah.
When I was watching the cuts and I was watching the videos, I would watch these wise people say wise things over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
There's a scene with Nandini Ji at the statue of Shiva in Rishikesh, where I say to her, I want what you have. How do I get that? And she says 4 words that I live by. Don't do, just be. 4 words. Like I had to go all the way to India to hear those 4 words. You don't have to go to India because you can just watch the movie, right? Don't do, just be. That's very difficult to do because we all want to do. Don't do, just be.
I think you're speaking to something that I've noticed allows us to get out of the do, task stuff, you know, headlines, all of that stuff. And that is simply a word that's part of our mission at Peaceful Media, which is play more. Play. And I noticed throughout the film, you and I chatted about this prior to this, I noticed throughout the film that you had moments, as part of that montage, you had this moment of playing, right? Allowing yourself to feel your body moving,
yes,
dancing.
Yeah.
And I'm imagining some of that felt really uncomfortable.
At the beginning it did,
Yeah.
but then you get into it and it becomes magical.
Right. You lose yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? You lose yourself that is firmly planted on the ground, left brain thinking, gotta get more, gotta get security, gotta win. Right? You get into that playful, laughing,
absolutely
rapturous aliveness.
There you go.
Yeah. Is there anything else you would look right into that camera, your camera, to the person who's watching this? Well, what would be your invitation? What would be your request?
I would say that if you feel hopeless, there is hope. But often you have to make the first step towards that hope. And maybe that first step is watching the movie. Maybe it's picking up the phone and calling a therapist. Maybe it's reading a book. But it's on you to make that first step. And I have faith that you will. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to our podcast, Marketing for What Matters. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, Google, or Pandora. Love the show? Leave us a review and follow us on social media at Peaceful Media to stay up to date about new episodes. And as always, thank you to this earth for giving us all we've ever needed. See you next time.